Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Professor Ruchkova, having me have to deliver a lecture which has been dead for 4 or 5 years. Well, this lecture is rather complicated. This is not a theory, but just to find or discover the way to read a city, the way to deal with a site, the way to deal with the urban condition. Before I start the lecture, I'm going to some terminologies I'm going to use, which is very strange in architecture. For example, feminism, masculinity, and to find out, to discover woman's body and woman's psychology. In fact, this lecture is not about an architecture. Maybe it's good for you two, boys and girls, to get together very well, in love, in a proper way. So this is very incomplete yet. Incomplete. I'm still doing it, and I had several exhibitions based on this theory. I did an experiment, some project with this idea. So it acts only as a receptacle of becoming. Someone built a frame of work, frame of thinking. Anyway, let me begin with my theory, because as I told you, in summary, this presentation talks about some crisis of modern architecture and modern cities. I asked myself some questions. Do you think, is everybody thinking that the modern architecture of modern cities was failed because of the objectiveness in a very, and we so-called the tabula rasa? People, architects, urban designers sweep away and make it empty land, build the object. So, and asking my question is, so that means every city, every country has the same failure because of their objectiveness, especially nowadays so-called globalizations make another way to sweep everything away and build high-rises, object, and then they start to ignore the sense of place. So my issues on this presentation is to think about what has been ignored because of these famous genius buildings around, high-rises, and then they don't care about what's left over. The major problem is that we were educated in the wrong way. So-called genius loci, sense of place, or spirit of place, was conducted by the Western philosophy that ignores woman's being. So I'm going to present about this presentation is the purpose of my study is to read, cite, and seek again with a viewpoint of female. So the reason why is because nowadays postmodern conditions always let us find out which has been ignored. Designing architecture is not creating new things from nothing. It teaches us the way of seeing, the way of thinking, the way of reinterpreting to find out new what is existing. The reason why I'm explaining before my presentation, this presentation is so exciting, so you might lose the point. Okay, so I'm just giving you a tip to understand all this music and the movies in the presentation. Okay, so I try not to speak too much, but I think, I'm just writing all the script. I think it's useless because there's so many difficult terminologies and which I don't even understand because we have to use English to communicate to you and us. And the second thing is I'm going to introduce you an artist who is a female artist named Miriam Shapiro. Miriam Shapiro is a Jewish woman who introduced you, Femage. And then I'm going to introduce you about Incheon, which is my town, where in our university is located. Okay, when you visit a city, maybe you feel delightful, maybe you visit a city, maybe you feel sad, maybe depressed, maybe you feel something, you know. The Incheon is a mysterious city and very attractive. It's very short history as a modern city. Incheon is like an old-style woman who always, you know, follow a man who is a Seoul, which is the capital of Korea. It's like Yokohama and Tokyo. So I think it will be some kind of commemorated with other cities, you know, something like a small country and have capital right next to capital. It's about 45 minutes driving. And you know, it still has some sort of sadness and try to get out of something, but still there because it's locations. So are you ready? Great. This one describes me, myself very well. I'm a carnival dreamer. I'm a very proper guy because I not only dreams of space refusing ban or order, but also has an ardent wish toward liberty that can modify the law of game all the times. For a passionate carnival, I make myself an emancipated exception, always. So please, there is another way, lots of ways to think about architecture from now on. It is one of them. Okay, next. At the beginning I told you about my question is that the crisis of modern architecture. Because every city, every country was suffered from this anxiousness and energetic development, and they destroyed the city. So I think it's tabula which is I think the Latin word that erase everything, make it white paper. Okay. So if so, the failure of a modern city results in the very identical between everywhere in the world. If not, what would be the function for healing up the scar? Which is hit by modernizations. So how about the modern cities in Asia and in Korea? Such a fragmented cities in a state of absent urban frame, what will be the criteria to look at such cities? So my queries again, I'm going to do. So how to grasp the potentials in disregarded and floating in the city edge as urban factor for a new space order in the next stage. And then how to recognize the femininity grafted into urban and architecture. And then after finding that femininity in an urban space, and how to utilize it as a intervening device to heal the modern city. So my temptation is to go further. So misreading of the sense of place, as I told you, the male chauvinistic space order, and now the contextualism with the capital C, which is done by Colonel during 1970s. This is another way to look at the city against modern way of reading the city. Then I'm going to go on to to keep my argument on regional identity in such a mutated city as Incheon, the masculinized identity argument. So I would like to discover the geographical and spatial signification of Incheon city through decoding the void its social, physical, and psychocultural conditions. It tries to grasp the urban characteristics of Incheon through scrutinizing into a movie based on discourse strategy. And then I'm going to investigate the femininity inherent in the Incheon city. So I'm going to talk about the third city, the third place, or third space, which was not dead during the modernizations. The third space, a third city, embracing and respecting rather than a unified whole. The third place space not only innovative, hybrid, and translative identity, but as negotiatory of differences and parenting. The femininity, a place that helps masculinity revealed, which means because of a woman, the man revealed. Okay, and then actually this is architecture revealed because of the space. It is a kind of receptacle, which is perimeter skins only, and something is ready to be put. And the space of femininity acquires materiality by repeating both patchwork and intertwinement space. So the third space is the femininity turns to space through masculinity and provides a certain metrics. If masculinity pursues self-unfolding become clear, the femininity remains in chaos, dark, and deep void. Okay, let me start about the story of the movie. The scenario is very simple. And the simple and very boring movie, to tell the truth. This movie is about 4 different ladies who is just about to be an adult. And they talk about the director, Miss Jung, characterized these 4 characters with some sort of circumstance. So this is, as you see, the pattern making, and there's a cat, and something the cat moving on. So the cat, take care of my cat, is the cat is one of the main characters, but through the cat, every 4 different women are depicted. So I'm talking about Incheon. It's a chimera city, hybrid, a symbol of a compounded one, and patterned notion by which narratives are related to each other rather than identity as information. The paterfamiliar cognizance, soul as a man, soul as a father, the big one. So Incheon is always behind that shadow. So the Incheon is very simply speaking, it is outside, surface is very modern city, but underneath or the edge of the area is still 1,000 years ago, sea village, fishing village. It really proves that Incheon was very quickly modernized and industrialized for serving the capital of Korea. So I'm going to do criticizing monosexual cognition of Aristotle's theory of place. The horizon of spatial difference is to be extended. And I'm going to define woman body as a place, another point of departure to solve modern cities' problems. But I keep saying the woman body, everybody's curious, when it's going to come. I'm talking this very much metaphor. Woman's body, to look at this, we talk about the earth. Okay, take care of my cat, stimulus 1, next. Okay, a pilgrimage of cat, the city not only as a feminine but also as interpretable. The movies subvert previous masculine viewpoint and brings subjectivity as an active being to everyone. Okay, what that means is usually the movie has a main character and the other people just supporting the main character. But there is no main character. The 4 women doing something, they're talking about the space and place. Okay, so dramatist person. Okay, the first one is Taeki. So she's a kind of resistant alien. And second one is Haeju, a circumstantial being. And third one is a twin, identical twin, who is Chinese Korean, who immigrate to Korea as something passive aliens. And then she, oh yeah, then tell me who I am. That means she doesn't know her identity, and she doesn't want to belong to somewhere, but she wants also be imprisoned. Actually, these two identical twin named Bilu Onju is the legendary kings who made the Korean, picture. It's like a Baekje dynasty. For example, the first one lives in Incheon, but she really have great desire to working in Seoul and living in Seoul. The second one, K, is a resistant alien against the sense of place with a paternality. Paternality is a man-centered. So she always against what, she has very big conflict with the father. These two are, very passive alien. They don't really interest, they are not really interested in the sense of a particular place or identity. They feel their identity when they look at each other. The last one, so tell me who I am. She is very unstable being, and she doesn't know when she was born. She doesn't know who their father and mother, because she lives with her grandfather, grandmother, and then she lives second place of a very shitty house. These four characters describes what women are, but at the same time, what the Incheon is. Circumstantial being, and then resistant, and very passive, but at the same time, they lose many things, like Incheon city. That's what I say. The passive one is that they always want to get out of this loop, but at the same time, they must stay there. So I'm going to introduce a femage. So what's a femage? Next. Femage is a going word, female plus collage. It is a work by a woman. The activities of saving and collecting are important. Scripts are essential to the process. The theme has woman life context. The works are drawings and or handwriting, so on. It contains silhouette image. Images are recognizable with a narrative. Abstract forms create a pattern. The works contain a photograph. It depicts function as well as aesthetic of life. So Miriam Shapiro is, she said that is my art is a becoming art. That means it's incomplete. It's a receptacle of becoming. The receptacle of becoming is Plato, a long time ago. He just defined it as a woman or something, place. Because he cannot really define what it is, because everything is very clear, but something is not clear. Receptacle of becoming. It becomes something soon or later. So let's look at some of her work. Yes. This is a house. Then she has a couple of this kind of drawings that is very symbolic. It's very sort of a sexual image in there. It's just kind of ways of this egg really represent woman. The woman, the state of a woman. Is this going in or coming out? We don't know yet. She always draw deep holes or windows in the drawing. So this is a description of the drawing. And this is very kind of house which really restricted women or female. But I think she also wants to get out. Restriction and freedom together inside her mind. So the female, the egg is too big to be in the house, and is ready to destroy all this boundary, and has a great desire to be free. If this is in dialogue, it's the same thing, still use egg, that one egg completely inside of the loop, the one big egg outside. Okay, she also used many fabrics, ornament, and sediment. So I'm going to very quickly review all of her drawings. Okay, this lady gauges made that sort of a very patterned sort of fabric and floating, and then there is a very much geometrical shape underneath. And the fabric, one of the fabric has holes to show behind the stair. So anatomy of a kimono. And this is a mix with the kimono and quilt, which is Scotland like a quilt, putting together with the kimono patterns and putting together like a. So this all drawings and the works is trying to show anonymity, which is not identity. Anonymity is not known, which is very indeterminate. In French term, like a significations, like a signifier. The one thing there, it is signified one time, that it moves to another circumstance, we signify. There is no definite definition. And then I just compare the film and the femage together, and what happened, and what kind of scenes in the movie, always showing that we just learned from this femage, from Miriam Shapiro. In the film, there are many things shown. Big, deep tunnel, and the mirror, and the fabrics, pattern makings, and living, and the imprison, and decoupage, and stuff like this. And then everything is shown also in the William Shapiro story. Next piece, a famous film. Decoupage. She put everything patching on the wall, cutting and pasting, and textile pattern making, and the basman. The basman is sort of technique, in art, to taking out something and leaving as a sort of space. The pattern making, I'm going to show this mapping about Incheon. I follow the route that the movie is showing. The reclamation of Incheon was forced by Seoul's desire of modernization. The reclaimed land, and like Tabula Rasa is example for an act of paterfamilias. So it is the way how Incheon is developed. They have some edge, like a port, and then the green thing is reclaimed, and the blue thing is the water. And then just this photograph of a park is a mapping of the photograph. Okay, these locations, because this dark part is a route of number 3 bus. I come through all these lines and all the street, everything, I'm remapping. In the movie, there's a bus, line number 3. This goes to this route. So I took the bus and go down there and took a photograph and write down. So this is the route and the photograph. This photograph I took from this route. And the subterranean cityscape, and I'm showing them all the cityscape with underneath and above. I'm mapping this location. This is the one way I did it with the patchwork of the photograph together. The bricolage, this is like putting everything from outside and putting everything together. So I look at this Incheon in the landscape, the cityscape, and infrascape. And femascape, I'm just putting all these photographs and taking a line up and superimpose together and making new maps. So this is some of our experience with the students. Putting all these images onto the board, cutting out, putting together again. What I try to say to you is not woman is important, or man is important. Important thing is, you have to think, consider, speculate, reflect about land, earth. Our tragedy starts from, the land, and living from the land, making pillows, and then throw everything away from the land. They change what the land. Because I am from Korea, 70% of our land is mountain. Everybody who studied in America or Western side, they think our land is flat. And everybody thinks that everything comes from outside is beautiful and fantastic. But I think what is indigenous in your culture is more important than what is imported, what is immigrant from outside the country. Nowadays, globalization, Korea was contaminated again by tall buildings, skyscrapers. Foreign architect who should be a genius architect come to Korea, build and design, build, but they don't care about our land. Do you know your land? Do you know your trees? And do you enjoy your maps of your country? It tells culture, civilizations, everything. So the work I'm showing is very much paper architecture. I'm taking everything like a narrative, history, geography, topography, and all artifacts from city, and then I'm making something which is not defined as an architecture. Well, I'm just showing them all together and start making a shaping into my intuition with narrative. Some stories next. This is my previous first work about the Staten Island in New York City. This is a tomb. It's a city as a tomb. And talking about all this artifact and the roadway and this land, how they're really intervening all together. Okay, I feel like very emancipated from my lecture because my lecture was really boring for me. But I think it's important for you to think about the different sex and the men and women in the world. But I think we have a very simple answer, but we try to find a very complicated way. That's about it, my lecture. I hope you not enjoy it, but I think get you informed, and I hope to see you again next year. And thank you very much for me to sitting here and standing here to deliver my lecture. Thank you very much. Listening.